Being completely honest, viewership on this channel was rather low as of late, with a couple of these previous videos only hitting single-digit views. I was initially going to try and broaden topics a bit and make more Xenoblade videos, but then I released the Capitals video and never mind, I am pushing the Xenoblade video idea back and completely repivoting back to more Pokemon. So to all the new viewers and people that gave this small channel a chance and helping us reach over 1K subscribers, I thank you all for existing. Speaking of new people on that Capitals video, I had a lot of insightful and helpful comments there that pointed out a couple details I either got wrong or should have included. First is this now pinned comment that said I used an image of Kagoshima City instead of Kanoyo City. That was entirely my bad, and I apologize for putting the wrong image up. Next is this comment that pointed out Mesagoza may have also taken a lot of inspiration from Barcelona, specifically Park Güell. And looking at it now, I absolutely see it, and that's also on me for not looking into Barcelona enough in my initial research. But speaking of those comments, a lot of people also talked about the Pokemon side games and spin-off titles, and I didn't include them in the first one just to keep the scope of the main series games. But that changes today, and now let's take a look at those other regions and try to figure out where the capital cities would be in those other games too. Taking a look at the first Pokemon Ranger, the Fiora region is based on the eastern half of Okayama Prefecture, the western part of Hyogo Prefecture, and a bit of Kagawa Prefecture's Shodo Island. Which side tangent, I found out Shodo is also where Takagi-san apparently takes place, since that's where mangaka Soichiro Yamamoto was from. Major thanks to this Reddit page that compared some of the opening scenes to the actual location. If this link randomly dies by the time I upload this, I will cry. But going back to Fiora, I believe Falls City to be the region's capital, thanks to it being the largest city with a port access to the rest of the world. We now go on to the only Ranger game that I've played, and apparently it's the best one, taking place in the Almia region. The Almia region seems to be based off the Oshima Peninsula, the southern part of Hokkaido, and the Haruba portion of the game was inspired by the northernmost tip of Aomori. For the region of Almia, I'd like Puel Town to be the region capital, seeing as it is the largest and most central city in the region that's located roughly where Oshima's capital of Hakodate would be. But I also want to give credit to Vienne Town just south, which is a small rural town placed around where Ikeyama's capital of Esashi is. So if it isn't Paul Town, it could also be Vienne Town. The third and currently final Pokemon Ranger game takes place on the island archipelago of Oblivia, home to a small land full of legendary Pokemon. This island chain may have been inspired by the Oki Islands that I actually flew over last year when visiting my family overseas. Much like the Oki Islands, Oblivia has a small populace, but I would guess that the Aqua Resort on Sophian Island would be the capital, seeing as it is another port city based on the real-world Okinoshima with boat and airplane access to the Japanese mainland. But getting into one of my favorite games, Colosseum and XD takes place in the Ore region based largely on Arizona. There aren't many cities here, and what few establishments exist don't seem to have that much in terms of infrastructure or municipalities, due to it mostly being a desert without much administration or any sign of government over the region. Taking a look at some of the major establishments of the region, Pyrite Town is a former mining town with a news building and coliseums. And Agate Village is a quaint setting mostly full of retired trainers, and a place where Celebi can appear to purify shadow Pokemon so they can like this video and subscribe to the channel. Gatian Port is a relatively large town for Ore with commerce and sea access, but was only established recently shortly after the events of Colosseum. Unlike Phoenix City, which has been around for a couple generations and was likely one of the early human establishments in Ore, thanks to its founders drawing water into the barren desert, akin to its inspiration of Phoenix, Arizona. But due to Ore being such a sparse and deserted region that's partially being run by Cypher, I'm not sure if Ore even warrants needing a capital. Maybe after Cypher's defeat, the Ore region can have a chance to become a new home to a tech startup, or establish a battle frontier of sorts to draw in tourists. The region is known for its hardcore double battles and its many battle facilities, so it's gotta interest some kind of crowd. While I don't think Ori has an official capital for the whole region yet, I'd give my vote to Phoenix City as being the best option after a bit of redevelopment. Oh! Phoenix City! Phoenix, Arizona! Saying it out loud, it makes a lot more sense. I see it now. Now, I want to go over a couple more regions with dubious capital city placement. First is the Ransei region from Pokemon Conquest. The region is divided into 17 kingdoms, one for every type, this was pre-fairy type, and these kingdoms wage constant war against one another in order to rule the entire region so that they may fulfill a prophecy and summon Arceus to heed the call of the victor. Because the region is under constant war and not based on any real-world location, I'd actually argue Ransei has no permanent capital, and whatever warlord is able to maintain power would turn their home kingdom into the de facto capital of the region. At best, the normal type kingdom of Aurora may have the most legitimacy due to it holding the sacred ruins where Arceus can appear in the postgame. The next game I want to talk about is new Pokemon Snap in the Lental region that seems to take its cues from the Galapagos Islands. Fitting for a nature reserve with its huge biodiversity. This game I'm going to take a different route and proclaim it doesn't actually have a capital, nor should it really establish one, because I don't know how I feel about such a small archipelago with minimal human settlement having a capital city, and I think that's what's best to be left alone so that the living Pokemon there can be in what's essentially a nature preserve. The next game to go over is Pokemon Masters EX and the artificial island of Passia, which, as far as I can tell, I don't think was directly based on any real-world location. Similar to the Isle of Armor and Galar, Passio is a private island owned by Lier, so it wouldn't even have a capital city. The Eos region in Pokemon Unite probably has even less to go on since, apart from the stadiums, there's hardly any infrastructure. At best I can only theorize Shiver City due to it being the only major city on this faraway island. Things don't look much better for the Farum region seen in Pokken Tournament, as just like with the last entry, it's a relatively small island mainly built around stadiums without that much in the way of urban infrastructure. So I'd have to give my nomination to Neo City to the south of the region as Farum's capital. If anyone here has played these games mentioned from New Snap onward, I ask for your help in determining where the capital cities for these games would be, as I haven't played those games and I don't know a whole lot about them. This isn't engagement bait, I actually want your input on this one. We now wrap up our second world tour of the Pokemon world, exploring the lesser known but just as valid regions and try to find the capitals of these places. From the top, we circled around Fall City in Fior, Puel Town in Almia, and the Aqua Resort in Oblivia. I give my voucher to Phoenix City in Ore, hopefully things get better in the region, before I can rather anticlimactically only suggest Aurora for Ransei, leave Lental untouched, and theorize Shiver City and Neo City for Eos and Farum. But what do you think? Are these good capital proposals for these side games? And what other locations would you suggest? I'd like major help on a couple of those last titles. Have a good one, and go watch the first Capital Cities video here in case you haven't seen it, or check out the rest of the Pokemon playlist while we wait for Pokemon Wind and Waves to come out next year. I just realized this video includes a lot of islands.